Hello there! Welcome to Tubi Tuesday. I am Scotty. You are not. And today we ask the question, what about Bob? This is a movie that I've been told about for years. Never seen it. It stars Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss. And Richard Dreyfuss plays a uh, psychiatrist who gets a new patient named Bob. And Dreyfuss goes on this vacation, and Bob ends up falling in there and causing a whole bunch of problems. That's it. That's the premise of this movie. Look, I guess it's because I've had this movie hyped up for me by my mom and a couple other people saying, "Oh, this is a great comedy. I think you'd like it. I think it's funny." Okay, it's funny. It's funny at some point. But at some point during this movie, it just hit me that I think if I would, now I wouldn't go to the lengths that he went to, but I think if I was in this situation, I think I'd be as freaked out as Richard Dreyfuss in this movie, because this guy just won't leave you alone. He keeps coming back. He keeps showing up. Why is this not? He keeps showing up. He just keeps showing up, right? No matter what he tries to do to get rid of him, he just keeps coming back. And the most, like, so they show at the beginning when his other psychiatrist kind of passes Bob off to this new one. There's something wrong with Bob because this psychiatrist that's passing him off is very jittered. He's very like, sort of thing. And Bob has already made a appointment with Dr. Dreyfuss here. I'm going to call him that because Dr. Martin here. And he's like, well, I'm going on vacation. And he's like, was that your family and everything? And he's like, well, yeah. His family, his wife, Faye, without an E, his daughter, who is Julie Haggerty, by the way. His daughter, Anna, played by Catherine Irby, you may know from Unwanted Criminal Intent and Mighty Ducks 2. I was like, I know that name. And his son, Sigmund, obviously not named after Sigmund Freud, but why would you name your kid that? I mean, I get Sigmund Freud's days. Those are, first of all, he's Austrian or German or something. I could see that kind of name, but for a kid in the 90s, born in the 80s maybe, but come on. Sigmund. And he's played by Charlie Cormer. You may know it's Jack from Hook. And I saw that, I was like, wait, I know that name. So yeah. Yeah, and then there is Leo's, that's Dr. Martin, Leo's sister Jill, who's mentioned and then show at the end. So I was with this movie to a certain point, and it got to a certain point where I figured out where they were going with this movie, and I just went, because there's just so much of, okay, Bob, leave now, you can do before you get it. And I understand that Bob is supposed to have these mental problems, but someone keeps telling you to go away. I'm sorry, no one's that dumb. It's unrealistic to me. There's no one out there that dumb that wouldn't take the hint of go away several times. And there was a part in the movie that got me that I was like, oh, are they doing this? Are they gonna do this? And then it's going to be like he's exploring how he treated him, or he's gonna have to deal with this because Good Morning America's showing up, and it's gonna be a whole thing. So Bob ends up staying at their vacation house, and he's like, Bob, you gotta be out here by 6:30 because Good Morning America's coming at 7. You'll be out at 6:30. So he wakes up the next morning. He's like, Bob, it's 6 o'clock. Bob's not moving, and I went, did they kill him off? Did he die in his sleep like he's afraid of? He's dying in his sleep. Now he's got to worry about this dead body that he's got. and Good Morning America is going to show up. No, he ends up waking up when an alarm clock goes off. It's like, oh, well, you had me with an interesting premise there, but I don't know. And then he's like, you gotta get out. And he goes to leave, and the Good Morning America people show up, and he's like, okay. And then Bob comes back, and I went, no. This is where I went, no. No one is that stupid. Like, no. Because it's like, he comes back after he's told he has to leave and cannot be around when Good Morning America is there. So they go to leave. He leaves. And then he comes back. No. I'm sorry, but if you... He is told he can... You see why I'd be on the side of Dreyfus here. Maybe not to the extremes, but if you tell someone to do something, they should do it. Like, not like that. But if you say, hey, something very important is happening, you can't be here, you have to leave, he should leave. Mental problems be damned, he should leave. But he comes back. And it's at this point that I got annoyed with this movie. And I was done. I'm like, no. It lost me. It lost me because there's a certain point where things can be funny. But at this point, where he just keeps coming back, and it gets worse. It gets worse. There's a point where he strands him in the middle of nowhere, and he gets dropped off by some people. He puts a mental institution, and he's so likable, they let him go because they think he's sane, which is totally wrong. And I think the funny part is supposed to be that while he's trying to get rid of this crazy person, he's becoming more and more and more insane and more crazy and more erratic. And I guess to a point that can be funny. But, so, I guess you could say that the whole thing where he's declared sane and he's in the middle of nowhere and he gets brought back, that could be funny. But then in the end, so Leo breaks into this shop owned by these people who used to own the house that he lives in. Steals some stuff, including some explosives, ropes, whatever. Kidnaps Bob, takes him in the middle of the woods, ties him up with the explosive, and leaves him there. Bob, using Leo's baby steps technique, is able to get himself out of the ropes and get back to the house before the stuff explodes. And then it blows up the house, causing Leo to go into a catatonic state. And I was like, okay, let's end the movie here. Just have him go, oh! And they say he's in a mental institution, and end it. You end it here, it's fine, right? You end it here. And you have a little text that says, Leo spent the rest of his life in prison, or not in prison, in a mental institution. And they have a thing where Bob becomes a psychologist. So do that. Say where this isn't a real movie where Bob becomes a psychologist. They have a little blurb at the end that says he becomes a psychologist. But like, say that he's a mental institution and Bob becomes a psychologist and will soon take Leo as a patient. Which could be interesting for a sequel. But that's it. You just end it like that. No, they go one step further, and now Bob is marrying Leo's sister, Lily. Which I went, no. This makes no sense. They met once. At a birthday party, a surprise birthday party. They met once. No. It did. And then that's when, they did the whole, if anyone speaks now, better hold their peace. Leo comes out of his coma and says no. They don't care. They're just happy that he's, awake. They care more about him being awake than what he says. So, they still get married, and I don't know. The first half of the movie I was with it. I was like, okay, let's see where we're going. Like, I will admit that when Bill Murray first introduced, I was like, I don't know about this. Just the way he's like, is OCD and stuff, and just, nah. I don't know. But this movie didn't impress me at all. It feels like sort of a letdown because I just was hyped so much to me. Oh, I think you're gonna like it. It's pretty funny, and I'm just sitting here going, eh. And I will give it a middle of the road. I won't go full, not worth your time, because comedy is subjective. So, what I don't think is funny might be funny to you. Who knows? I just think that, someone who keeps coming back, doesn't go away, won't stop bothering someone. It's not funny, it's annoying. And I guess it's the adult side. I mean, maybe as a kid I would have liked this. Maybe as a kid I would have laughed. Ha ha hee hee hee. That's the kid from Hook. Bill Murray funny. Apparently I speak in broken English when I was a kid. I don't know. But as an adult, as someone, this is a very realistic situation. And as an adult, it's more annoying to me than funny. So I'm just going to give it a middle of the road. I mean, the performances are good. Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss, good performances. But I don't know. It just didn't hit the way I thought it would. So, what are your thoughts on What About Bob? Leave no comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.